Independence Day. And with that being said, we do have a proclamation. Fireworks Public Safety Awareness Days, June 20th through July 6th, 2025. Proclamation Fireworks Safety Awareness Days, June 20th through July 6th, 2025. Whereas the National Integrated Drought Information System indicates that 99.96% of Colfax County is currently in drought conditions, with 48.06% in severe drought. And whereas in April 2025, the North American Seasonal Fire Assessment noted that above normal significant fire potential is forecast from southeast Arizona into southern and eastern New Mexico into much of the southwestern U.S. by June. And whereas public lands and private facilities in northeastern New Mexico often enact seasonal fire restrictions and often prohibit fireworks due to their ability to start a wildfire. And whereas some populations, such as veterans, are sensitive to noise of fireworks. And whereas the Raton Humane Society has urged the City Commission to consider the noise impact and traumatization of domestic animals and pets, and expressed dismay that the private use of fireworks, many of which are illegal, has often continued far beyond the allowable season. And whereas the City of Raton Ordinance 130.161 states that the ignition of chasers and firecrackers are prohibited except for the period between June 20th and July 6th each year, only between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. during the allowable period. Exceptions may be granted only by written permit from the city manager. And whereas the City of Raton Ordinance 130.161 prohibited fireworks section states that the following fireworks are prohibited at all times within the City of Raton: aerial spinners, helicopters, mines, missile-type rockets, Roman candles, shells, and stick-type rockets. And whereas the Raton City Ordinance 130.160 lists permissible fireworks as cone fountains, crackling devices, cylindrical fountains, yeah, that's a good one, fitter sparklers, ground spinners, illuminating torches, and toy smoke devices and wheels. And whereas the City of Raton Ordinance 130.158 states that no person shall ignite any fireworks with a motor vehicle or throw fireworks from a motor vehicle, nor shall any person place or throw any ignited article of fireworks into or at a motor vehicle or at or near any person or group of people. And no person shall discharge any fireworks within 100 feet of combustible vegetation. Now therefore be it resolved that I, James Neil Segata Jr., Mayor of the City of Raton, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim June 20th through July 6th, 2025 as Fireworks Safety Awareness Days, and urge our citizens to only purchase legal fireworks, be cautious with their use of fireworks for fire safety and prevention, and to be courteous to neighbors and fellow citizens by following the city ordinance. Alrighty. Next up, we have committee reports from commissioners. Commissioner Honeyfield. Commissioner Schuster.
On June 17th, I did attend the Water Board, and Mayor Pro Tem will report on that. June 18th was Lodgers Tax Board. We'll discuss those items, that one item that was discussed later in our agenda. June 24th, today, I met at the Colfax County Senior Citizens, had a special meeting, and they discussed some policy amendments. And also later today, I met with Brad Mauger, who is our post-secondary education committee chair. So, and we just discussed some possible action items that we can proceed with. That's all I have.
Alrighty, Mayor Pro Tem.
The New Mexico Municipal League Board of Directors met June 12th in Santa Fe. Our annual conference will be in Ruidoso, September 16th through the 19th. They have the Municipal Officials Leadership Institute, which levels 1 and 2, and that's coming up in August 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th. You can just do, if you've already done Molly 1, you can just go for the refresher for 2. The policy meetings are coming up July 2nd in Albuquerque. Anyone declaring candidacy, that's due by July 18th. The league is offered to help find an attorney If we need anyone particular, they are willing to procure and fund the service, and then we can pay for it the following year. So if we're looking for someone, they can help us vet, and then we can interview from a pool that they choose. So that might be a service if we might need an attorney for anything that we don't have somebody for. The self-insurance fund is looking at more robust safety training. We talked a whole lot about property insurance rates, which we all know have gone quite high. They're building in some maintenance funding. I guess 33% of the buildings that are insured were built prior to 1980, many much older than that, so that's part of it. We pretty much have talked about the Water Trust Board has money, come ask. They will even do a $50,000 planning and designing grant. And the Municipal League website has free Water Trust Board application training. They're looking at, in the future, looking into cybersecurity for their members. All the budgets for the league and the self-insurance fund were both approved. The next board meeting is in October. The water board met June 13th right here. As we all know, we've had a lot of rain, so Lake Maloya is full and spilling. Filter plant production in May was 31.7 million gallons with a peak flow of 1.3 million gallons a day. The Cimarron system is up and running well. They're very optimistic. That's good. The Consumer Confidence Report, really important document, is on the website. Everything looked great. It also should be posted at City Hall and a few places around town. And that's kind of the water quality from last year. And then we discussed some water right topics and the potential transfer of the Hoxie substation. We discussed some of the budgeting options on moving money to a reserve fund to save for debt service or to potentially invest some of it. And we're kind of getting some options from Geneva about that. We discussed increasing the priority of the wastewater treatment plant, which I believe is what we'll discuss tonight on the ICIP, due to the funds being available with the Water Trust Board. And anyone who wants to come, we meet on the third Tuesdays at 5 p.m. right here in the Commission chambers. Also, with a few others, I attended a meeting regarding broadband with Resound, as well as Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez visit at Miners Colfax Medical Center. That's what I had.
All right, thank you. It's for myself. I was also at the Resound broadband meeting and the meeting for a little bit with Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez. RPS met last night. We discussed the conversion project going on. Also, the need to change out A-base type service connectors to what is standard now. The A-base are really obsolete and, in fact, dangerous now. There are about still 300 of those left in the city. We're in the process of changing those out. There's also grant money available to help those who may not be able to afford that conversion to help them pay for that. We talked a little bit about the budget, made some tweaks to it. And then yesterday, AJ Forte from the league and Matthias, I can't remember his last name now. Anyway, they brought the drone up to fly the Burro Canyon power line to see what condition it was in, because we are responsible for that line. And currently, the insurance that we have for it may not be sufficient enough to cover anything that may happen. And some of that problem is because most of that line is on private property. So looking at that, from what they did yesterday, understand the flight yesterday was really good. The line looked good and all the way up through Dillon Canyon and that there. They were going to do the top from the border and into Colorado today, hopefully, if the weather let them do that. Then they will collect the data. AJ and them will then come back in a few weeks and give us a report on everything and then recommend options to us. So that was going on. And while he was here, we bent his ear on several things. One of them being the wastewater treatment plant project. There is water board money out there and extra water money. There's about $360 million still out there to be spent. I got the application from them today. I forwarded it to Lloyd and members of the board. That application has to be in by July 31st to get fiscal year 26 money. So hopefully you guys will jump all over that. We did try to twist them. This one still, I can't figure out how a dam is not related to water monies. It's holding back water.
Coastal Illinois is not.
So the dam does not qualify for the Water Trust Board because of, otherwise he says, yeah, I've got the money, we could do it, but dams do not qualify. He's going to do some investigating though, and we'll see what happens. And what else? I think that was about it, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so. So that's all I have. All righty. Item 6, items from citizens present. At this time, we will take comments from anyone that wishes to address the commission. However, if you are here for a specific item that is on the agenda, please wait until that comes up. So right now, we will take any comments. It looks like we have some people running to the podium.
I have one of you guys up here, please. Don't be shy. I know you.
We don't bite, we just look scared.
I know you ain't shy. Okay, on behalf of the independent writers and the Run for the Wall, we'd like to present this plaque of appreciation. This was the 35th year anniversary of the Run for the Wall. We'd like to thank the city of Raton for all their help and all the support you have given us through all the 22 years we've been doing this. We also have certificates here for everybody else as far as fire department stuff, which we'll be giving out here probably the next couple of days.
I appreciate it. Well,
Well,
we thank you for everything that you've done.
Yeah.
It's a great cause.
There you go.
All righty.
Hang up pretty.
Do you want a picture there, Marty, or not?
He
You
got
got it? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
It's quick. Thank you. All righty, before we get into the action items of that, I want to bring attention to the agenda. Item O has been deleted from the agenda. Item O has been removed from the agenda. Okay. All right. Item A, deliberate and act on approval of June 10, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Meeting minutes were presented in your packet. Should there not be any additions, corrections, or deletions, they will stand approved as presented. Anybody see anything? Minutes stand approved as presented. Thank you. Item B, we have a presentation. Youth Heartline and New Hope Family Counseling. Mr. Mestis.
Mayor and Commission, tonight is a presentation by Danielle Archuleta and Felice Medina from Youth Heartline and New Hope Family Counseling. This presentation will provide updates on their ongoing work within the community, particularly in the areas of youth support, family counseling, and intervention services, offering insights into the outcomes and impact of their programs. I yield the floor to Ms. Archuleta and Ms. Medina.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Danielle Archuleta. I've been the City of Raton Continuum Coordinator since 2013 now. It's been a great honor, a great privilege, and a great journey. And tonight I'm here with Felice Medina.
I'm Felice Medina. I'm the, sorry, I forget my job title. The Community Programs Director with Youth Heartline. And my daughter Isabella is here to join us too. And so we've been providing these specific groups to Raton for, well, through Danielle's programming for like 13 years or more, a very long time. But specifically, Youth Heartline has been providing the programming for, this was the completion of our second year. And so we do the One Circle Council, so it's a nationally accredited model. And this year we did it 4th through 8th grade for all students who are attending Raton Public Schools. And so we have 8 facilitators who do that. The groups are gender-based, so the boys will go with the male facilitator, girls will go with the female facilitator, and the things they're talking about are really based around those things of how, we experience the world differently based on our outward appearance and our gender. And so it's really building resiliency with the kids, helping them to develop the skills they need to be able to make decisions on their own, right? Like things are hard now. And so we really want to give them the skills to build themselves up and know what they're good at, help them build their confidence, self-efficacy, so that they're able to make positive decisions for themselves as they grow up. Also really to help counteract bullying and a lot of that kind of stuff that's going on in schools right now. So that's the goal of our groups. So we have 8 facilitators. They're all coming back next year. I have 4 for the Boys Council and 4 for Girls Circle. They're all excited to come back. They don't have enough good things to say about interacting with the kids. They love working with the kids. It's very rewarding. We did expend all of our funds this year, and we actually ended up putting in funds that we had for the 4th grade groups. So Youth Heartline covered 4th grade groups for this year because we ran out of money and we wanted to continue with them. We also did our in-kind. We went above and beyond for our in-kind. We hosted a boxcar drive-in movie event in January, I believe it was. And so that was great. The kids came and they made boxcars and they had so much fun. And it was just like a really great way to bring the kids out and do something in January where everything's kind of dead and the holidays are over, and give them something to look forward to. So they had a ton of fun doing that. And then our facilitators also helped with Field Day at RIS. So that was a great way for them to continue to develop relationships with the kids. And what else did we do? We're doing trainings. So we did an active shooter training in Taos. So when there was the lockdown at the high school at the beginning of the school year, we had facilitators who were in the building with kids at that point. And so we thought it was really important to give them all the training possible so that they know what to do in those situations. So not everyone was able to come, but 3 of them did come down to Taos to do a day-long active shooter training, which was really informative, and I think gave them a lot of confidence to be able to say, okay, like, I'm not overwhelmed, I'm not scared, like, I know what to do if this were to happen. And then upcoming now, we have a PAX training, and so it's a training for anyone who works like kind of in the human services field and interacts with kids. It's a way for you to interact with kids. It's like trauma informed, but also be able to like manage a classroom, right? Because most of our facilitators are not teachers, and they're like, oh, we love doing this, but maybe like we're still working on our behavior management skills and how to run a classroom. And so we're doing this training, and it's open to anyone in the community who works with kids. It's going to be Monday, June 30th at the Convention Center from 9 to 4. I have flyers here if you guys are interested, or you know anyone that it would be a good fit for them to come. It's a free training. Yeah, I think that's most of what we have.
Thank you, Felice.
Yes.
So I'd like to go ahead and wrap everything around. The City of Raton Continuum started in 2013 really strongly in our schools, and it was during a time that there was a lot of adversity against the programs. It was really a struggle to win over the school board. It was also difficult to get into alternative school. And during that time, we found how important it was to have a strong board. And the City of Raton, being the fiscal agent, Michael Ann, has been so involved, very inclusive to everything, and has really been a mentor to me as a coordinator, as a part-time employee under this grant. But I do write the grants also for Town and Taos Continuum, and I'm experienced in these programs. I have extensive experience, and Felice and I wrap around quite a bit because she is amazing. In Taos, she's a facilitator of the program. She is the program director here. Just how she is here and invested tonight, she has heart and is always invested with all of her employees of Youth Heartline. And being a subcontractor that has that kind of knowledge and experience and understanding about the connections, the relationships, and really supporting your community is so beautiful, because Youth Heartline, they're here, and we all know a lot about Youth Heartline. They have their youth housing program. They have their safe exchange supervised visitation program for non-custodial parents to visit their children in their office. They also have their CASA program. And then Felice has been training extensively and working with the facilitators ongoing to ensure that they know their role. They're certified by One Circle Foundation, so they're certified facilitators before the even start of the school year. We're extensively trauma trained and informed. We understand that after the pandemic, a lot of things changed, and there was a lot of trauma recognized, and there's still a lot of trauma in us as adults that some of us don't even realize, but something may trigger us. and we may react or respond a certain way. So part of this programming is to provide social competence, to increase self-esteem, to also support them and let them know that they are important, their voice is important, and they have a really strong curriculum that's theme-based, and it is gender-specific. If we do have a female that identifies as a male and wants to be in a group, it's never been an issue here in Raton for them to be able to be in boys' council if that's what the parents want. We've been doing that since with Miss Christy Medina when she was a principal. We had a lot of children that year, and they're already doing it in school. They're already accepted as a boy, you know, and what they identify as. We do not really push that in curriculum at all. There is that kind of curriculum provided by One Circle. We don't touch that. We are here to give them social skills. We are here to increase self-esteem. We are here to support them, and it's a prevention program. It is one of our strongest programs, and I'm really proud, and Mike Glenn can really testify for this, but in the state of New Mexico, we have strong relations with the State Juvenile Justice Advisory Continuum and JJAC unit. We can call them on the drop of a dime and they will answer our questions. We can text them. They will come to our sites. They're so supportive. There's 24 sites right now. A lot of continuums got cut in funding. And it was really hard because Taos did get faced by that by 20,000 in their programming, but they're still going to do it, and they're still committed, and they have other sustainability in their sites, and that's something that I've been working hard in Raton to do, to look outside the box and say, what else can we wrap around? What else can we provide? What other money can we bring in for sustainability? Because if these grants were ever to go away, our youth and our families are so important to this programming. Without our youth and our families, we wouldn't have this programming. Without you all, we wouldn't have this programming. Without our JJAC board, City of Raton Continuum Advisory Board, our subcontractors, Mike Glenn, and our youth board. We have a really great youth board that's very committed to helping and supporting our community. And it's just a full round circle. So Youth Heartline is a subcontractor of our prevention programs, the Girls Circle Boys Council. We have New Hope Family Counseling, Angie Ortega, who is a wonderful subcontractor of restorative justice. It is more interventive than what our prevention programs are. What the whole goal and scope is of all these programs is just to give support, build these relationships, make these connections. If you invest your youth at a young age into your community, they're probably going to stick around. They're probably going to want to be part of your community, and half of them do, and then they go on to be our postman, or maybe they work for the City of Raton, or whatever it may be. So we're all just a part of this community, important, and that's what these programs are about, is embracing that and bringing us all together. And we have had many different phases of subcontractors, but the last 3 consecutive years of having Youth Heartline extensively involved in Raton, I can say my job is really easy now. I can concentrate and focus on coordinating. I can focus on running the board meetings, working with the youth board, talking with the subcontractors about trainings and how to support the facilitators. The facilitators do their job. The subcontractors do their work. It's amazing. It's so beautiful to see everything that we wrote in strategic planning back in 2013 to come to fruition, and to see it be a light in our community. And again, without our schools of Colfax County, all the individuals that refer, which are our social workers, our principals, our superintendents, everyone involved in the process, we would not have this programming. So it is definitely a team approach. And the facilitators, they're wonderful because they're very articulate. They have great ideas. We come together in team meetings every month. We talk about strengths. We talk about weaknesses. We talk about how to overcome the weaknesses and build on the strengths, And every year, every generation looks different. It's not the same as 2013. Kids are so advanced in technology right now that we are really living in a digital world, and we can really do that much better. And Felice understands that. She's younger than I am, and she understands that component to it, and she's able to support the facilitators with great tech, a lot of tech support. But something she's done is you've bought the curriculum that's more digital, to where before we had these stack of books. that we had to work through. Well, now the facilitators can like tap on, certain things and get their curriculum and be able to plan it out and prepare it and do that wherever they are. And it's just really amazing to see that come together. We have an important message from Angie Ortega that Mike Wann's going to share for her update. She is out of town. This was a planned out-of-town trip a year ago.
My name is Angie Ortega. I'm from New Hope Family Counseling, and I was chipping in to give everyone an update on restorative justice for this past 2024-2025 year. Sorry I wasn't able to be there in person. I had a scheduled vacation quite a ways out, so I'll be there at the time of this. But I wanted to let you all know, restorative went awesome this year. We're super proud to let you all know we met our expectation of our 200 circles. Just to kind of throw this out there, the previous year the expectation was 120, and then we decided to try to raise the bar. So this past year we set the expectation of 200 circles, and we met the expectation. So we're proud to kind of report in on that. We served ages, 10-year-olds through 17. Various referral sources. We served youth that were involved with juvenile probation. Plenty of kiddos around the community, and including students from Raton Intermediate School and Raton High School. So that would have been ages about also 4th grade through seniors. Things went really well this year. We learned a lot of things went well. One of the highlights I feel like for this year was that a lot of the participants learned the program. I feel like a lot of the families and a lot of the community members that got to partake and participate in the program really got to see how the program works and why it's effective. More progress from that is that a lot of the youth that we served didn't reoffend, and some of the few that did, if they did reoffend, at least we can probably say that some of their other behaviors improved. So we're pretty proud of that. More stuff to kind of let you know that went well was we got to see a lot of relationship building this year. So you'll see that in a really good restorative circle when someone gives an apology and tries to offer an action to make amends for their behavior. That goes a long way on restoring harm and repairing relationships that got damaged. So we got to see a lot of that firsthand, and that it was an amazing feeling to get to watch all that happen. To add to that, this year something new that we kind of tried was we added a community service project. So we would take all the students that participate in our program for the month, and we would offer them a community service project, and 9 times out of 10 the kids were more than happy to do it. One example of a project that they did was the kiddos made bags for the homeless. So I actually still have a few of those in my car because I didn't know what to do with the leftover bags. But they wrote notes to the people that the bags were prepared for, and they put everything together, and they gave an encouragement note. So that was something that got the kiddos' attention. So, and it was also a way for them to give back. Special thank yous real quick. Andy Ortega, she was our main facilitator this year. She delivered most of those circles. So I definitely would like to tell her super special thank you, because that was a lot of hard work. A big pat on the back to her also, just because she really established a lot of really solid working relationships across the board with youth that she served, with the stakeholders in the community, referral sources, families, school staff, the whole 9 yards. A lot of people know who she is, and they know what she does, and they also can say that she did a really good job. So thank you, Andy. Absolutely 100% major big thank you to the City of Raton. Thank you for letting New Hope Family Counseling provide the services this year. Also, Mike Lamb, thank you for everything. You've been so patient with us, so thank you I was new to a lot of this, and you're amazing. Thank you for all of your help and support. And then also 100% thank you to Danielle. Danielle has been amazing at guiding me and showing me what needs to be done and what needs to be there. And she's always there at the drop of a dime if I have a question or if I need something or if I come up short some way. Danielle's always been there to help out. So thank you, Danielle. Thank you to the city. Thank you, Michael and Andy. It was a great year. We look forward to next year. We learned some stuff. There's things we want to get better at next year. But this year was awesome. So we just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. And I just want to update about restorative real briefly. So restorative programming has existed since 2013, and back in about 2018, they wanted to pull the funding from it. And I was reading a lot of literature about Colorado initiatives and how they were even wanting to take restorative justice into prisons. They were wanting to take it more into your school system instead of a punitive system of where kids would just get suspended in ISS. Or out of school suspension. They found that sometimes facing someone you've caused harm to and acknowledging what you've done is really more repairing to the soul, and at a young age to be able to make that connection and say, I messed up, I did this, I apologize, I want to do better, what can I do to make this better? And having that person that you harmed in front of you, and communicating with a trained facilitator, of course, to keep the circle running smoothly with the practices and guidelines and the protocol, it really does repair a lot. And kids learn that just because they messed up, they can do things differently in their future. And a lot of our kiddos that have been part of restorative circles, they hold high positions in schools, in college, or they go on and they get great jobs. They don't reoffend very much. The way it's used in the schools now, I'm appreciative of, because I wish there was something like that when I was in school. I remember getting into a fight or something and we got out of school suspension and you were at home by yourself, and my parents, I remember them making me scrub walls and floors, but I don't think all parents are like that. And they're very good about their stuff. Everything looks perfect in their home. But yeah, it was a lot of scrubbing for me when I got in trouble. And so what I really like about this program, though, is they give them a plan that works well for them. They have teacher input, they have social worker input, they have their parents' input, they have their own input, and they hear from the person they caused the harm to, their input as well. And then a lot of times, a lot of the plans are empowering. They might have to write an apology letter or something like that, and they might do some community service, but they may also do something that they really want to do to make it better. And that's where we see the restoration process and the healing. And I'll be honest, because of these programs, I believe that's why JPO numbers are down in our community. Our numbers are quite low right now in Colfax County and Union counties. And the ones that are in JPO services, they receive another great program called Juvenile Community Corrections and get life skills and empowerment and how to do things differently. So it's been a wraparound, and we're finally where we wanted to be in 2013, now in 2024. And I can say it is running very smoothly. I'm sure Michael Ann agrees with that, with all the funding. We are required to give 40% in kind. It has never been difficult. There's so many great collaborative partnerships in our community, so many great volunteers that just give and give and give of their time, and that's what we account for. It's not really gifts, or it's not financially, but also we appreciate all the great copies made here at the city, because that contributes to a large portion of our in-kind contributions, and our kids get beautiful, colorful things like this because of the city. And we appreciate that, because I remember when I was in school, everything was black and white, and it was no fun that way. So to have color just adds to everything. And again, I really give credit to Youth Heartline for what they do and what they specialize, and New Hope Family Counseling. And I love my role as a coordinator. And again, none of this would be possible without anyone. That's a part of the process.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, we love being a part of the community here. It's like so welcoming, right? Because every time I come, I'm like, I see people I know, and it reminds me of my own hometown, and just seeing the kids and watching them grow and the facilitators grow into their roles. And we love being part of the community, and thank you guys all for welcoming us.
Thank you. Appreciate everything that you've done.
Is there any questions about anything? We also gave a JJAC analytics report in your packets, and it has all the numbers that we did serve this year. And then it also has what we've served since the beginning of this fiscal, which it is a 4-year fiscal, and we are on year 3, and we'll be on year 4 next year.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Keep
Thank
it up.
you. And the flyers, is it okay if we put them out there in case anyone would like to take one?
You bet.
Thank you.
All righty, moving on. Item C, deliberate and act on New Mexico Children, Youth, and Families Grant Amendment Number 25-69-3000-81226-1 for the Learning Lab. Mr. Mestis.
Mayor and Commission, before you is a proposed amendment to the existing grant from the New Mexico Children, Youth, and Families Department. The amendment pertains to continued or adjusted funding for the Learning Lab, a program designed to support youth education, development, and intervention efforts in collaboration with local partners. Specifically, the article is amended to reflect the increase in the total agreement amount, added to the FY26 total amount of $59,400 for a new amount of $118,900. The scope of work includes additional language on background checks, and insurance staff have received adequate training. The city recommends that you vote in the affirmative on this action.
Comments, questions for Mr. Mestis?
I will move to approve the agreement with New Mexico Children, Youth, and Families Grant Amendment number 25-690-3000-81226-1 for the Learning Lab.
Second?
A motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, deliberate and act on Learning Lab fiscal year 26 subcontract agreement between the City of Raton and New Hope Family Counseling LLC. Mr.
Mayor and Commission, before you is the FY26 subcontract agreement formalizing the partnership between the City of Raton and New Hope Family Counseling Limited Liability Corporation. This agreement outlines the terms and responsibilities for New Hope to operate and support the Learning Lab services funded through state and local grants. The city recommends that you vote in the affirmative on this action.
Questions, comments?
Once again, I will move to approve Learning Lab FY26 subcontract agreement between the City of Raton and New Hope Family Counseling LLC.
Second?
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, deliberate and act on JJAC fiscal year 26 subcontract agreement between City of Raton and Youth Heartline for direct youth services. Mr. Mestis.
Mayor and Commission, before you is the second annual renewal of the subcontract agreement for fiscal year 2026 between the City of Raton and Youth Heartline. This agreement supports direct youth services under the Juvenile Justice Advisory Committee JJAC framework, targeting at-risk youth through mentoring, advocacy, and behavioral interventions. The funding also supports a continuum of graduation sanctions and alternatives to detention services to juvenile offenders and youth at-risk involvement in the juvenile justice system. This grant award for FY26 period shall not exceed $329,925. The city recommends you vote in affirmative on this action.
Comments, questions?
Move to approve the JJAC FY26 subcontract agreement between the City of Raton and Youth Heartline for direct youth services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, deliberate and act on JJAC fiscal year 26 subcontract agreement between the City of Raton and New Hope Family Counseling LLC Restorative Justice Services. Mr. Mestis.
Mayor and Commission, before you is a proposed subcontract agreement for FY26 with New Hope Family Counseling Limited Liability Corporation to provide restorative justice services. This program aims to offer community-based alternatives to traditional juvenile justice proceedings, focusing on accountability, rehabilitation, and victim offender mediation. Contingent on CYFD approval, the city agrees to pay an amount not to exceed $36,000 for pre-post hours and $40,000 for restorative circles, for a total amount of $76,000 in FY '26. The city recommends a vote in the affirmative on this action.
Comments or questions?
I will move to approve subcontract agreement, second annual renewal. Sorry, lost it. Between the City of Raton and New Hope Family Counseling LLC Restorative Justice Service.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item G, deliberate and act on resolution 2025-41, approval of the May 2025 financial reports. Mr. Mestis.
Mayor and Commission, I yield the floor to Raton Chief of Staff and City Treasurer, Ms. Michaeline Antonucci.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. We bring to you this evening the reconciled reports for May of 2025. You'll see in our financial summary that in the general fund, less our 112th reserve and the $1 million CD, you do have available cash of $3,796,542.66. I've also detailed for you the ending cash balance and the various other funds that we have. We will end the fiscal year with our June distribution of gross receipts tax. Will just be slightly above our budget projection of 0.56%. We were hoping that that percent would be a little bit higher to cover the shortfall that we saw earlier in the fiscal year for the small cities assistance, which we never can quite anticipate what that figure is going to be. But we did submit the proposed interim budget by the June 1st deadline. Just prior to the meeting, I received the email from DFA that our interim budget has been approved. So I've provided you with a copy of that letter from DFA. Excuse me. You will see in the letter that on page 2, the things that we need to submit with the final budget. I did submit the work plan questionnaire with the interim budget, and I do that so that I can detail out for them the additional funds that we're proposing to take out of reserves for the various non-recurring capital expense items. So they did receive that. They did put a note in here that when completing the required work plan questionnaire, we would need to explain if we're proposing to increase the GRT at a rate greater than 10%, which we were not proposing a percentage that high. And then, of course, the Law Enforcement Protection Fund. I'm pretty confident that we've expended 100% of those funds and probably will not need to request a carryover this year, but I won't know that until we've closed out the fiscal year and have those ending cash balances. They do always give us kind of that cautionary note because we are dipping into reserves that our general fund balance is being depleted by almost 22%. So you will see that in the final budget approval letter as well. So I know that we talked that we would have potentially another budget workshop to kind of refine our final budget. So we'll try to establish a date for that. Other than that, we have till July 31st to submit the final budget, end of year reports, and the FY25 budget adjustments. So we'll be working on all of that. Fiscal year will close on Monday, June 30th, and at that time we'll calculate the ending cash balances. We will also meet with department heads to make any final changes and discuss their individual budgets as well, and hopefully have a final budget ready to present to the Commission on July 22nd. In your packet, I've also included the lodger's tax comparison report. We don't have the final tally yet for June on lodger's tax, but I'm pretty confident that we should hit that $500,000 budget projection. So that would mean that we kind of recovered from last year's shortfall. Gas tax distribution for the month of June was still fairly low. It was $12,295. I did submit a copy of this spreadsheet to our tax liaison at New Mexico Tax and Revenue, just kind of expressing concern that the last 2 years' history, has seen a significant decline. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved, but I would like to rule out that maybe there's not something going on their end. Maybe change in ownership of a filling station, maybe lack of reporting, I don't know, but it just, especially when you take into consideration kind of the figures during COVID, we've seen a significant drop. So maybe they can provide some insight and maybe not, but I figured I would send it to them to evaluate a little bit closer. Other than that, we are hopeful that once the Maverick is open, that maybe that will help with our gas tax. I've also provided to you our unaudited financial statement. The main thing that we're working on is trying to close out as many grants that will be expiring as of June 30th. And then, of course, we need to meet certain deadlines to kind of submit those final reimbursement requests for this fiscal year. So we're working really hard on all of the grants to do that. Other than that, I stand for any questions.
Questions, comments for Michael Ann?
Yes.
21% shortfall is how many dollars?
In which, oh, for the general fund, you're talking about what they're talking about? I'm assuming that equates to the 1.5 million that we were proposing to dip into reserves. That was for those non-recurring capital equipment needs. I haven't done the math on it, but that's what we were proposing. I believe something close to 1.5 million.
And those equipment purchases were what?
I don't have that report with me, but I had detailed it out in your interim budget, all of the individual items. Some of it was the abatement costs for JCPenney, demolition. We had some vehicle replacements in there. I don't know, help me out.
It's all on that budget sheet that we've gotten a couple times, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can certainly get that to you again. Some of it was some of the park improvements that'll be carried over into the new fiscal year.
Did we have to
Schuler, we had the Schuler.
Did we have to cover some of the ambulance or not?
Yeah, we do have the ambulance. That would be a carryover. That was about $255,000. And then some other matching funds that we would need to senior center hood system. So. And we may have to refine that list a bit for the final budget. We kind of have a list of changes and things that will need to be incorporated.
And most of those numbers will be hard numbers by that time.
Yes.
So,
Any other questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-41, approval of May 2025 financial reports.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt resolution 2025-41. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, public hearing on infrastructure capital improvement plan, ICIP, fiscal year 27 through fiscal year 31. Mr. Estes.
Mayor and Commission, tonight is a public hearing regarding the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, ICIP, for fiscal years 27 through 31. This plan prioritizes infrastructure projects for future funding, and the hearing invites public input to guide decision-making on critical community needs such as road, utilities, and public facilities. Again, this is a public hearing, and for support, I would like to call forward Deputy City Manager and Director of Public Works, Mr. Jason Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, on your counter this evening, you should have received an updated version of the ICIP that's beginning to change the database to 27 through 31. Highlights on it, after taking the last two sections of input, just a quick note, we have it scheduled for a vote on July 8th where we'll have to have our final rankings. I have to have the database uploaded and submitted by July 11th this year. So we're about a month earlier than we used to be. You'll notice on the ICIP that the Bartlett Mesa and water storage tank project have both been removed as complete. You'll see that there's still water storage tank projects on there, but we did have the Water Trust Board project that we've received full funding for, moved it off the ICIP, but Goat Hill and Scenic Tank replacement is still on the ICIP for future projects. Bartlett Mesa, since that transaction's taken place, and I think our line item for that was for a management plan or something along that, which since we won't be managing it, we won't need that item. After taking input, we modified the Civic Center item to rename it to the Al Portal and up the amount to $750,000 for Al Portal site improvements. After visiting with water board members and Lloyd of the Raton Water Department, the wastewater treatment plant upgrades have been modified to comply with TMDL temporary standards, and the price has increased to $2 million for that. We've added the senior center, city hall / aquatic center multi-use building. We've added roundhouse park improvements for $10 million, and we've increased the dam safety improvements to $40 million to account for that pricing aging out on dam safety. Mr. Mestis and I were visiting earlier, and we would like your input on adding the Schuler for $600,000 if we're gonna have to chase money that's been lost. Capital outlay and possibly historic preservation grants. If you are good with that, we would add that to the ICIP, but I didn't want to add it before we had this conversation. So right now the rankings are all up for grabs. I did my best work in trying to slot in what I thought your input and how it kind of meshed with what we had done in the past, what staff had, but it's definitely a living document that y'all can renumber in any way, shape, or form at the next meeting, and then I will just lock it in and get those final numbers in it. Stand for any questions if you have any, or yield the floor to public input if anyone's here for the public hearing.
All right, as Mr. Phillips just stated, this is a public hearing. Anyone can address us at this time for what they feel may be concerns or needs for the city. And we'll take comments. One thing I would have my fellow water board members consider, AJ specifically mentioned water storage tanks yesterday. So that money's out there right now. We don't know how long it, well, they've got 360 million. But
In my conversations with Lloyd, we have the one tank fully funded and an excess of funding. He's sending a requested scope change letter to try to take the remainder of that money towards secondary project. Probably not significant to do Goat Hill and Scenic with any leftover money. They're probably $1 million standalones at least. But I think this is a rehabilitation. Those were, at least in the Dan Campbell's days, going to be replacements with smaller sizes. So definitely, you know, big dollar hits and something that, I mean, those tanks are 1946 varieties. So
that's what I'm saying.
Clock
There's
is
big dollars
ticking.
out there,
Yeah.
so.
So it's not, I mean, we haven't discussed it as a water board, but if that's a need, it can afford. Who's that?
it may necessitate
I would,
special.
well, what I would suggest is maybe the water board contact AJ with the Water Trust Board and ask him his thoughts on the funding being around. And, but they are really pushing these water
And
projects.
it looks like from that email you sent today, it's the FY26 cycle, which is the one that includes wastewater components. So I believe that Lloyd's anticipating chasing the same. Then that's kind of why we're putting the TMDL up higher in my mind. I think I've got it, you know, in the top 5 right now. But if we're gonna chase significant dollars, it's always better if it's higher on the list.
That's good. I assume that the money amounts haven't been moved around yet, because some of them don't have any money.
No,
So just kind of
the database
kind of crazy.
totally fails to roll back
Okay.
year to year, so I've gotta move all the money manually to the next 5 years.
Yeah, my only comment would be the Sugar Creek Canyon State Park Visitor Center, however, we have some funding for that, so I don't know if, is this just additional funding, like would come in 2031, is that what you're
The
thinking?
original ask on that line item, which was originally just a placeholder,
Yeah.
was a $5 million placeholder, anticipating that state parks would just
that,
fund it
right?
and do the work.
Not be involved with us.
But now that we got 2 million on our books, I felt like I assigned the $2 million to that line item, but I didn't know if it should be anywhere near the top. I mean, I know that process is going to take forever to get through SHPO unless we pivot out of the canyon, but that is definitely one that you guys might want to consider where you want it. Since we just got the 2 million, I moved it to near the bottom because
Yeah, I just wondered if that needed to be, and it's partly because the monies aren't shown up there, but, I mean, after talking to Walter, if talking about park improvements more than a visitor center sounds like what would be needed up there.
and that would probably be a reauthorization conversation as well, but.
Yeah.
The only thing,
Governor doesn't really like to reauthorize her personal awards.
the only other thing, and I had talked about this with the Bartlett Mesa thing, and I had called it renaming, but maybe we put Buck Ridge on here somewhere, knowing that that's coming down the road,
Placeholder
2031,
2031, and
just to have it on there.
is it acquisition? Is that what we
It
call
would be
it?
acquisition and then probably improvement. I don't know, there'll probably be some trails that need to be built and a management plan. That's a ways down the road, but I think it's good to just have a placeholder.
Any dollar amount you think would be initial starting point? 2 million, 5 million? I will add it and the Schuler as well to the list.
And, yeah, where would you put the Schuler?
I mean, it can be, I mean, the need is fairly pressing time-wise. I mean, I probably wouldn't go in 2027 top 5 by any stretch, because I don't think its ranking is gonna matter much to where we're asking, but right now I would probably slot it as 2027, 8, 9, or 10. That's about where I would see it going.
Yeah, that sounds good. As we know, sometimes the ranking doesn't seem to matter.
No.
They pick and choose what they like and
Yeah.
whether we rank it or not.
Yeah.
Anyone like the podium for the public hearing? If not, the next 4 items are mine too. So.
Any other comments? This is, again, a public hearing. There is no action to be taken. If there's no other comments, we'll move on. All right, item I, deliberate and act on recommendation of award for landfill disposal services. Mr. Mesky.
Mayor and Commission, before you is a recommendation for the awarding of contract related to landfill disposal services. This action will determine which provider for managing the city's waste disposal needs and associated structure for landfill usage. Sealed bids were received and opened on June 18, 2025 at 2 p.m. There was one bid from Arthur Regional Landfill. The award contract will be for an estimated 5,000 tons at $33.28 per ton for an estimated annual cost of $166,400. Mr. Phillips?
We are glad to get this bid from Jonathan. We've had a great working relationship with the Arthur Regional Landfill. They've opened when we needed them to be open. Got through some winter storms and some summer issues with them. Dollar-wise, this contract was last bid in 2021. It had CPI for water, sewer, trash increases built in. So it started at 27, it ended at 31.64. Our new contract will begin at 33.28, which is a 5.1% increase, and that is exactly what the increase would have been if we had stayed in contract. The water, sewer, trash inflationary index was 5.1%. Fiscal impact of approximately $8,200 per year, year-over-year cost increase. And I would recommend that we approve it.
Questions, comments?
Make a motion to approve the recommendation for award for landfill disposal services, tipping fees to Arthur Regional Landfill, GGH Wagon Mound LLC.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other comments? All in favor, vote by sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item J, deliberate and act on recommendation of award for solid waste transportation. Mr. Messes.
Mayor and Commission, before you is a recommendation to award a contract for transportation of solid waste. Sealed bids were received and opened on June 18, 2025 at 2 p.m. for transportation of municipal solid waste from the Raton transfer stations to multiple landfills located within 2 hours of Raton. This is an essential service for maintaining public sanitation and compliance with environmental regulations. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, in the interest of gaining the lowest cost and most competition to the city, we bid these two contracts separately, and we are anticipating that in the past we've received disposal contract pricing from Southside Landfill in Pueblo as well as Midway Landfill between Pueblo and Colorado Springs. And when we would have those, we would factor the cost of trucking plus the cost of tipping, create a matrix. We did not receive bids from either landfill for those services, so we are down to just the cost to haul to Wagon Mound Landfill as the only term. Jonathan Arthur and Arthur Roloff bid this project last in 2021. It was at $225 per load. The current pricing is at $260 per load, representing a 15.5% increase over the 2021 pricing. What's important to note though is the 2021 pricing was fixed pricing with no escalators. So essentially, whatever inflationary pressures happened between then and now, he just took the loss on. We didn't increase based on inflation. So the 15.5% increase over that term seems reasonable to me. Net fiscal impact year over year, $9,450 based on the estimated number of loads. And I would again recommend approval of this.
Comments, questions?
Miles from Raton to Levi's, what?
Probably right around 60.
Any other comments, questions?
I will move to approve the recommendation to award the solid waste transportation agreement.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item K, deliberate and act on services agreement and fee proposal from Chinook Landscape Architecture for the Climax Canyon Old Pass Trail project. Mr. Messer.
Mayor and Commission, before you is a proposed services agreement and fee proposal from Chinook Landscape Architecture for design and consultation on the Climax Canyon Old Pass Trail project. The contract supports improvements to outdoor recreational areas, enhanced trail access, environmental sustainability, and community use. I again defer to Deputy City Manager and Director of Public Works, Mr. Jason Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, long story short, about a year and a half ago, we embarked on a technical assistance grant with National Park Service that led us towards the creation of an RFP. We put together a committee several months ago that ranked Chinook Landscape Architecture and Tony Boone Trails as our #1. And in doing so, we now have a price proposal to go with the qualifications-based proposal. So what you have, even though they didn't do a great job of totaling it for you, you've got your primary tasks listed at $71,715. The optional tasks below that amount to about $6,930. So we're looking at a total task order, if all items were accepted, of $78,645 plus applicable taxes. Since Chinook is based out of Colorado, I am unsure how their professional services are taxed or if they even are, if it's a service tax. So I don't have that amount. Trails Plus funding that we have is $65,748 coming from Carl Colonius's Trail Plus program. $32,875.31 in matching funds required for a grand total of $98,623.31. So essentially, if we chose to take all optional and primary items on this, we're coming into about $678,645 plus tax if necessary. We're still $20,000 under our grant funding, which we would attempt to try to roll over into construction or maybe take advantage of some of these. Ms. Chatterley and I met with the architect, her having a little better background in trails. I mean, we can kind of menu item what we want to do and make some decisions internally on whether we want to do the online storing map, you know, or whether we want to nix that item and save that money for construction. We know we're coming back with a construction application either way. So my recommendation and ask at this time would be to award it for the $78,645. That would give us full discretion to use all available funds, but we'll make those decisions internally whether we actually use it all or not. May be up for grabs. In addition, they have sent a contract. I'm not sure if in the same motion if we would delegate signature authority of that to the city manager where we could get it executed and back. But we are on a bit of a ticking clock. This is on an extension as we moved it from the Stinky Tunnel. So we've got right now a December 31st, 2025 grant date. We may have to ask for an amendment to that. I believe the contractor has indicated they could beat that timeline provided we have timely approvals. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone has.
Questions, comments?
Just looking through their line item, once they evaluate the site, are trail locations flagged?
Well, part of this is their creative expertise on developing new trails and the public process of, are they going to be pedestrian, are they bicycle, multi-use? So based on the public input, it kind of determines what kind of slopes do you attempt. One thing that we know is we don't want to interfere with the hard work that the Climax Canyon Trail builders have already done. So our assumption is those will be left alone by and large unless there's minor tweaks or improvements that we could do to those. And then it's kind of a clear slate with the help from the public and the design professionals what these look like. They probably won't end up being flagged in the field. They'll be more laid out on a map, and then when we go to construct the trails, we'd use that GPS data to set them
So
up.
they'll have GPS pinpoints?
I believe it's gonna be GIS as well as some drone and LiDAR mapping that will indicate what this.
And it looks like item 3, there is some flagging that will be done in the field flagging for approximately 3.5 to 4 miles of trail. So there could be some flagging as well, but I think
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's just to create a visual when you don't construct the trail, if it would.
from those flags, yeah. I'm sure that will be, whoever has the construction contract will be doing the majority of the flagging for the construction work, I would think.
I don't know, I used to flag stuff in the trees and Alden
Didn't work so
Ferguson would
well,
go,
did it?
well, it worked all right. Fergie could build me a path wherever I needed to go.
Hopefully this goes similar.
Yeah. But the deer seem to like the flagging, yeah.
I think it's a good idea to go ahead and approve it up to that amount and then to see, what we feel is the best thing and, the staff decide in-house. Do we
Well, I
need-
think early on we worried that this was gonna ramp all the way up to our full
Right.
grant funds, so, I mean, somewhat good faith effort. I don't think they knew exactly what we had, but it came in below what we could have been expecting.
Kind of an unrelated question I'm gonna ask Lori, if you don't mind. So, if I didn't know this area as a traveler and I came to town, is there a map somewhere of the available trails within 20 miles here?
I'm pretty sure there's some different things between Explore Raton and some other things. And then at the trail itself, there's maps of that particular trail. There's actually a walking guide that was published at one time that has a lot of different walking areas. So there are resources. We would have to ask what's at the visitor center now, but they have been
The walking
produced.
guides are at the visitor
Yeah,
center.
and so they have
So
like
there is,
the
so-
walking guide, yeah.
I have a few at my desk, actually.
And then the Climax Canyon area itself has its own trail maps and
Yeah, I've been over that one, but I just, if somebody stopped at the visitor center.
Yeah, the
that-
walking guide, I think of the
Somebody.
Pat Walsh and some other, I don't know which group put that all together, but it's got a lot of good information in it.
Mhm. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the services agreement and fee proposal from Chinook Landscape Architecture for the Climax Canyon Old Pass Trail project up to the optional tasks as well with in-house decision review.
And approve, you want to also approve.
City manager.
Oh, and the city manager with signature authority.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the proposal up to the limit of the options and city manager approval. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, Jason's still standing there. Item L, deliberate and act on resolution 2025-42, participation in local government road fund program administered by the New Mexico Department of Transportation, control number HW2L400726. Mr. Mestis.
Mayor and Commission, before you is Resolution 2025-42, authorizing the City of Raton's participation in the Local Government Road Fund Program. This program provides state funding assistance for road maintenance and improvement projects, strengthening the city's infrastructure. Again, I defer to Deputy City Manager Jason Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, as you know, we were aggressive in the grant writing of street-related projects this year. We applied for local government road funds in the co-op program, the MAP program, as well as 2 transportation project fund programs. TPF funding has not been released yet. I think we're positioned very well for a citywide chip seal project, and that probably in the around $500,000 to $600,000 range. By getting issued a co-op grant, it kind of by default tells me that we're unsuccessful in an MAP application, because currently when you get one, you don't get the other. So our MAP application was in the $400,000 range. We're sitting on one in hand, which would explain why we're probably not getting one this year. But they did give us the co-op grant, which is $86,000, of which $64,000 and change of that will be provided by DOT. And this is basic necessity kind of stockpile material. We're planning on buying some base course for working alleys, crack sealing some streets that were paved recently, and purchase of some bulk cold mix to patch, primarily in preparation of an anticipated chip seal project. So, well, I think we're still alive in the ring for big dollars. We're still happy to get this. 75-25 is a pretty good matching fund program. So if you wouldn't mind voting for the resolution, we can get a grant agreement forthcoming and proceed with work on that.
Questions or comments? So is this gonna possibly be used to do like the fog seal up in my old neighborhood?
No.
Okay.
Well, unless we need to take funds from this. The funding for the fog seal by and large is last year's co-op grant.
Okay.
So that is still set aside. I am still diligent working with contractors to try to get someone up here this fall to provide that $100,000 worth of fog sealing, which won't go as far as it would have in 2021, no doubt. But we'll prioritize. There were some streets that were a little iffy, kind of a test run, but streets like Kearney, 6th Street, a lot of those that we did with chip seal will do. A couple of the streets we actually did fog seal originally of that project. Garcia, Martinez both got the treatment at that time, but the rest of it we would still have money for. This would be in addition to that. If we had to borrow some of this money to fulfill the fog seal, we can look for a change of scope on this, but this is a separate part.
And I noticed you guys had the patcher out yesterday.
It's been rolling heavy the last couple weeks.
Any other comments, questions?
I'll move to adopt resolution 2025-42, participation in local government road fund program administered by the NMDOT, control number HW2L400726.
Second.
Motion and second to adopt resolution 2025-42. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Go get the baseball field ready, Jason. Item A. Item M, deliberate and act on Lodgers Tax Advisory Board recommendations and Enchanted Air KRTN Radio. Mr. Mestis.
Mayor and Commission, before you is a recommendation from the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board to allocate promotional funding to Enchanted Air KRTN Radio. The funding supports tourism-related advertising and outreach effort in line with the Lodgers Tax mission to enhance local economic activity. These include radio ads, website ads, and Facebook ads. The total cost is $83,1350. The city recommends you vote in affirmative on this action.
Questions, comments?
I would note that Mr. Donati worked hard at keeping the price the same as it was last year, and I think we can appreciate that. And so I will move to approve this Lodgers Tax Advisory Board recommendation to fund the ads and et cetera with Enchanted Air KRTN Radio.
Second?
Motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Manager, do Lodgers Tax, this funding request is within its
Yes.
expenditure capabilities?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item N, deliberate and act on memorandum of understanding between the Raton Elk Softball League and the City of Raton. Mr. Mestis.
Mayor and Commission, in your package is a memorandum of understanding formalizing the partnership between the City of Raton and the Raton Elk Softball League. The MOU outlines shares responsibilities regarding field usage, maintenance, and support for recreational programming that benefits local residents. Also in your packet is a paid fee letter from the Elks, rules, safety plan. Let me try that again. Also in your packet is the paid fee, letter from the Elks, rules, safety plan, and insurance. The city recommends you vote in affirmative on this action.
Questions or comments?
Sure. Do they have any questions?
So we have Mr. Eric Ortega here with us this evening. He is the gentleman spearheading the effort. And I mean, from the city side, we're both excited and a little anxious. We haven't had this in a long time. We didn't even really have the MOU. So from public works side, you know, I mean, Bonham Park, special place. We'd like to see it used. If we're gonna water and mow stuff, it's better for us. You know, on the Nervous Nelly side of things, it's a city facility. Softball is infamous with beer league things, and you can see in this agreement that those are prohibited. I will tell you what, as the registered agent for our liquor license, it puts me in a precarious spot to these things. You know, I don't intend to police these activities or go to a park and ever see if someone's drinking a beer at the softball field or the Little League field tonight. But the world has changed, right? So we've got insurance, an organization that wants to step up and try. And my hope is something that can grow into kind of like a Little League relationship where, I mean, Bonham Park could use some work. We've hesitated to put the effort in there because it's really been used for 2 tournaments max a year for the last 5 or 6 years, and it just doesn't make sense for me to prioritize it. But what I'd like to see, if this league can be successful, the scoreboard is toast and has been for the 10 years I've been here. They've actually come down in price. I mean, for something like $7,000, we can probably, you know, get this scoreboard back up, have a league, maybe host tournaments, maybe grow to kind of the same level of economic activity that we have with Little League. And this is a first step. I mean, it's tough because we're not grounds maintenance people, even though we're doing it for this all-star tournament. You know, I'm not sure that Eric knows our level of involvement in these things, but we basically mow, we water. I hear they play on Mondays. If I can spare a guy to drag, we'll try to be a good partner. But we have been decimated by preparing for all-star tournaments, and we have a lot of stuff that we are way behind on. So I don't want to overcommit or oversell what we can do to help. What they can do is throw the trash and maybe drag the field to play. And, you know, we'll try to be good partners in it, but I don't want to overstate what we're going to do, but also I truly want them to be successful. I mean, this is kind of generational stuff that should happen in Raton. And Eric's dad was my baseball coach 40 years ago, and my daughter's 20, so I know his family and their importance of having this. And a lot of people around town are driving to Walsenburg, Pueblo, places to play it. So if we could build a partnership, and I'm sure there's going to be some bumps in the road, right? I mean, the first time you dance, you're bound to step on somebody's feet. You know, I just hope for collaboration on both sides when that day happens. Because like right now, I couldn't tell you where we get the keys to the lights. We got to talk to some folks. You know, what days they're going to play. We're not going to try. We'll try not to water on those days. Best basic coordination, but mostly we need just one person to step up and say, "I'm the guy to call." I'll get him in touch with my parks guy, and most of these issues we can work through. So we're excited about the prospect that, you know, Eric's looking to bring it back and trying to be a good partner, and hopefully we can grow it. It's just we're small staff, so a rising tide will float all boats, but right now our boat's pretty low in the water.
Yeah.
Eric, anything, Dad?
Yeah, thank you.
I played many games with and against his dad. In fact, probably the last time I played at Bonneham Park, he wasn't much bigger than that podium. So yeah, I'm kind of psyched to see this happen. You know, I'm only 67. Who says I can't play still, you know?
No age limit.
There should be.
My wife, hopefully my wife did not hear that, so.
ACLs have an age limit.
Oh, I think it's a great thing.
I think you guys have done a great job setting it up with the rules. You've got the insurance, and, you know, we'll do what we can do within reason, and this is great. Thank you for bringing this.
Yeah. No, thank you guys for even addressing it.
And you know, if it starts with the league and they already have insurance, maybe we could fold end of season tournaments and you know, grow this thing. And I mean, by and large, these are adults. I mean, Little League, you know, we pick up trash because sometimes kids don't throw stuff. I mean, here, as long as we have the right number of dumpsters, a couple of cans that don't tear the bags when you want to throw away, I don't want to put all of the responsibility on them. It's just with animals in the neighborhood, if we leave it there Monday night at the end, it's going to be all over Longfellow School, and I don't want to hear those arguments on the school board side. But, you know, like I said, training rules for all of us, but good faith effort on both sides. I think this thing could really grow into something good and, you know, maybe improve these fields, maybe upgrade lights. But I do have some required match and quality of life, and this scoreboard would be a good place to put. The first one, we've already redone the sign, you know, but I know Miss Best and Miss Bonham take great pride in this being named after their father, and we've taken some criticism about the way it looks, and I'll own that. You know, I gotta align my forces where they do. But the more use it has, the higher it moves on my list of places that I want to send my guys to in the morning. So I'm encouraged to see some youth.
Do you have a guesstimate as to how many teams?
Right now, I'm guesstimating, and about 6 are interested already. And I have a couple people in Trinidad that are like, as soon as you guys get the approval, give me the word and we'll get it out. So I have a large group of people interested. I couldn't do all men's league or women's league because right now I'm in between, and like I just moved back a couple years ago. This is my hometown. I've been away for about 20 years. Moved back, and I'm like, hey man, I grew up playing softball. Like you said, I was this big when I was there. I would love for it to come back. So right now I want to do like a hybrid, and make it required that every team has 3 women on it.
Nice.
And I'm going to get restricted flight balls, so nobody's hitting the ball hard at a woman. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Get people back out there and, you know,
Nice.
yeah, give some exercise to little older people. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it goes hand in hand. So, but yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you guys for even allowing it to be on your agenda tonight. So.
Any other comments? Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the MOU between the Raton Elk Softball League and the City of Raton.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, vote in sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You got a league, buddy.
Congratulations.
All right, item P, deliberate and act on fiscal year 26 E911 grant agreement project number 26-E-10. Mr. Messis.
Mayor and Commission, before you is the fiscal year 2026 E911 grant agreement project number 26E-10. This grant supports the enhancement of emergency communication systems, including dispatch and call center technologies, to improve response times and public safety throughout the community. The division will pay the sum not to exceed $478,098. The city recommends a vote in the affirmative on this action.
Comments, questions?
I love grant money.
I do
It's
too.
been a grant money night.
Great.
I'll make a motion to approve fiscal year 26 E911 grant agreement project number 26E10.
Second.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item Q, city manager report. Mr. Mestis, you're on the clock.
Mr. Mayor, I wasn't at the beginning, but just, did you already table?
We did that.
We did.
We did.
Yes. We postponed.
Yeah, we just removed it from the agenda.
Okay, bottom line up front, Mayor and Commission, the city is in full swing with planning with recreational activities and preparing for the 4th of July parade, balloon launch, and fireworks. We are welcoming hundreds of visitors, dare I say it, thousands from throughout the region for the 4th of July weekend. In mentions and dispatches, a shout out to the Raton Fire Department for their quick response to a smoke scare at the public library on Friday. They're able to quickly assess the situation and minimize the threat. The treasurer is still working on end-of-year fiscal reports. It's probably for the next month. And Public Works, again, are working hard on the ball fields, and they are fighting God right now with the weather. Police are recruiting for 3 positions, fire are recruiting for 4 positions, engineering is working on airport funding for a number of projects. Facilities, we have made some way here on projects in City Hall. The clerk has seen a slight uptick in business license. Economic Development, our Community and Economic Development Director, has been reaching out to targeted businesses through telesales, emails, and face-to-face meeting requests. And finally, some closing thoughts. As we approach Independence Day, I'd like to close with the quote from Henry James. I think patriotism is like charity. It begins at home. That's all I have.
All right, any other comments? Commissioner Honeyfield? Commissioner Schuster?
I just want to say that, last meeting I was in Minnesota for a funeral, and then at the very end of my visit, that the 4 state legislators in Minnesota were shot. 2 of them were killed, or one and her husband were killed. And so I'm really grateful for the programs that we're supporting here. I believe that JJAC programs and the things we heard about today help alleviate and eliminate those possibilities.
All righty. Mayor Pro Tem?
Happy Independence Day, everyone. Be safe. Have fun.
Yeah, myself, I hope to see you all at the balloon rally and fireworks show to follow. And the parade, don't forget the parade. Get sprayed by the water trucks. All right, this meeting stands adjourned.